Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning for a lot of people. And welcome to another Facebook and YouTube Live by us, Malwarebytes. My name is Tjitske de Vries, and I am here with the amazing Ashley Stewart, who I work with very closely. Welcome, Ashley, and thank you for signing up to do this.
Thank you so much for having me, Tjitske. I'm excited for the discussion.
And what do you do at Malwarebytes, and how did you get into cybersecurity, and why is it so important to you?
Great questions. So at Malwarebytes, I'm our director of public relations and analyst relations. Like, what does that mean? In a very tiny nutshell, I help the company tell its story to all of our important audiences. That's our users, analysts, our employees, right? Our biggest advocates. And I got into cyber. It's kind of interesting. My true background is actually arts and nonprofit. And one of the things
Mm.
that I really loved about that is there's always something new to learn. There's a new movement,
Mhm.
there's a new artist we're talking about, a new plays, etc. And I feel like cybersecurity is very similar. There's always a new threat. There's always a new cyber tactic. There's always a new group to track, new technology
Mhm.
coming out. And I really love that we're constantly being pushed to like learn and evolve.
I think that's a very absolutely, and it keeps you on your toes at all times, right?
Yeah,
Which
in the
is
best
equally
possible way.
equally scary and exciting at the same time. But so why are we here? Why are you here? And we have some exciting information to share.
Yeah, well, today we want to talk about extortion scams, scams in general, right? We put out some new research. We did a thought leadership survey earlier this year, and we really focused this time on extortion scams, which are I'd say a particularly nasty type of threat. They threaten victims with harm or embarrassment to coerce them into providing money. And often these take the tone of leaking allegedly embarrassing photos, video, or even internet activity. We may all remember the hello pervert kind of emails that were making the rounds a couple years back and are still going.
Yeah, exactly. And we do, like, I talk about this a lot. When I was in support, we did um, see these things all the time, right? Which
Yeah.
also it's very scary to see that, these things are doing the rounds, and why we're here, for instance, as well, and why we do want to be a little bit more outspoken about these things is that there's still a large cloud of shame around these things, right? Especially when you're saying, like, the hella pervert scams,
Mhm.
the sextortion scams. There's a big cloud of shame around it. And what we want to do with these YouTube lives, with this report, with blogs, is to remove that stigma around it, to remove to share as much information that it's okay. Like, if something happens, or if you receive one, or if you're a victim of one, it's okay. It's okay. We're here to help. We're going to share your information. And you were talking about the report, and what surprised you the most about the report, or what is for you the most interesting statistic, or a comment from customers, or
Yeah, honestly, I think it's just the impact, right?
Mhm.
Um, Our research shows that 1 in 3 mobile users have been targeted by an extortion scam, and nearly 1 in 5 has fallen victim. That's 20% of people.
uh,
Gen Z is hit even harder. So more than half of them have been targets, and 1 in 4 have been victims. And then even sextortion, which you mentioned briefly, right? That particularly evasive threat to leak nude
mhm.
photos or expose pornographic search history, often, AI manipulated or altered, is particularly notable, with 1 in 6 mobile users reporting they've been a target. And among Gen
Mhm.
Z, that number jumps to 38%. So clearly, criminals are finding success in this nasty type of scam, or it wouldn't
Mhm.
be ramping it up so much.
And why do you think that is? Is it because, especially with sextortion, it has that very personal touch, you know, and there's always like this real sense of urgency. In a lot of these extortion scams, you see like an old password because of social engineering. So do you think that is why, uh, quote unquote, the success rate is so high, or does it have to do with other factors as well?
Feel like there's a couple things at play. Yes, extortion scams do really prey on that personal, the emotional side, right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of emotional fallout. Oh my gosh, maybe you did send nude photos to someone. Maybe
Yeah.
you did watch porn. That's okay. That's your right.
Hmm.
So you might be feeling a little bit of guilt or shame around those activities, and cyber criminals are taking advantage of that. But also, scams are big business. Like we saw
Yeah.
consumers in the US lost more than $16 billion to this last year, scams overall, right? And there's kind of been two changes happening in the scam industry to really ramp it up. First, we have all been part of 1,000 different data breaches, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
personal information about each and every one of us is available on the dark web where cyber criminals can purchase it and craft very targeted, very specific scams that talk to you as an individual. And then also, cybercrime and scams have been really operationalized. So on the dark
Hmm.
web, you can find like data that's ready to go. Here's some victims. Easy to find deepfake type tools and tactics. You can also find scripts for these types of scams that prey on victims, use psychological manipulation that make it really, really compelling for people to provide the money, pay the ransom, pay the extorted
Yeah.
amount. And so I think like all of these things come together to for like it's like high pressure, high profile, highly targeted, and people feel like they need to pay. They need to do something and
Yeah.
don't want to tell anyone about it.
Exactly. And like you said, they're so organized right now. And there's also a little bit of competition involved in some cases. Like when you see like certain gangs, even on platforms like Facebook, they have like their own groups. They share their what they call playbooks,
Yeah.
their tactics, what works, what doesn't work. And there's a little bit of like in some cases also a little bit of pride involved. That I find that very fascinating. You were talking a little bit about Gen Z earlier and them being impacted quite, yeah, a little bit more than not even a little bit more, significantly more than, for instance, millennials and Gen Xers. Why do you think that is? Why are they more impacted or targeted more?
Yeah. I mean, truly, anyone can be a target, anyone can be a victim.
Yeah.
But compared to like victims and targets of other types of mobile scams, extortion scam victims tend to be younger. They actually tend to be skew male,
Hmm.
and they tend to be mobile first, which that's not really a surprise, right? It's people who these younger generations are mobile first. They're digitally native. They're doing everything online. They
Yeah.
also partake in a lot of activity like casual e-commerce, right? You're on the
Hmm.
Facebook marketplace, you're on the buy swap forums, social media, super comfortable DMing people, responding to
Hmm.
people's needs, purchasing through ads through social media. So, unfortunately, kind of all of that digitally native activity does make you more of a target for scams in general, and then specifically extortion scams.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I use my phone quite a lot, but like I'm going to sound like I'm 100,000 years old right now. But when I see the youngins, like their phone is always in their hand. It's like it's I've noticed that very recently. Like I put my phone in my pocket, not even my pocket. I put it in my one of those click-ons that I put on my on my pants, like the 90s. Um, but like it's always on. They're always on, and like everything is on the internet and on the internet. It sounds even like I'm even older than that.
But
So
it's
yeah,
true,
it
right?
is
It's
true.
true.
It is true.
Yeah.
And whereas, like you said, like there's a lot of sharing pictures and stories and lifestyles involved that can be used, and like what we are seeing is that it's either like a big blanket operation because like it's just put throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Sorry for my French, excuse my French. Or they're like really targeted um,
Right.
scams, right? Sorry, I'm getting a little bit on the side. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, which we always talk about on every single YouTube live, on every single because it's so in our faces right now. AI, what is the influence of AI, like when it comes to extortion, sextortion scams, but also for instance, antivirus, cybersecurity companies that are tackling it? How are they using it on this side, the dark side, and how are they using it on the light side, the good side?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, there's definitely a double-edged sword to AI. But for scams and extortion scams, it's just throwing fuel on the fire. It is easier than ever to create AI manipulated images, deep fake
Mm-hmm.
videos. Maybe I should take one step back too. So a deep fake is,
Mm-hmm.
audio, video, images that have been changed by AI, so manipulated in some way. And they're often taken from real things, maybe your profile picture, a YouTube video, something you've shared on social media or that's available on your
Mm-hmm.
company's website. And then it's manipulated and changed. The audio's cut, the video is altered, really to make people do, say, look like something that they're not or something that they have not done. ChatGPT just released Sora 2 last week. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that completely lowers the bar to
Yeah.
generating AI images and video. Um, they even created a social media like platform for it. And we've seen a ton of deep fakes. That's kind of what they were asking people to test out, but also a lot of concern around what that's going to do and having that tool in everybody's
Yeah.
hands makes accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have a lot of concern about like what AI can do and how it's like really impacting, particularly this type of scam. Um, we saw that 1 in 5 mobile users were a target of a deepfake scam, and nearly as many
Yeah.
have encountered virtual kidnapping, which,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a decades old tactic, but now they can use voice cloning to make it sound super realistic, cause
Yeah.
serious panic, immediate action, needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of urgency to get people to act. So I feel like we're just going to see more and cyber criminals leverage more and more AI tools because why not?
Exactly, exactly. That's it. And like AI can like just drag different types of information about a person, like within 2 seconds, and like create a story about who that person is. And it's,
Right?
you know, it's scary in that sense. And I think what you were saying as well when you're talking about deepfakes and voice cloning, for instance, um, it always, even maybe when we know it may have been created with AI, hearing a human voice is always sounds more urgent than an email. An email you just click away, right? If you want, you can click away. But if you actually have
Yeah.
a human being talking to you, that sense of urgency is so much greater. I think in my case, and for instance, with older people as well, like if they're being called by
Right.
somebody, there's still that sense of, oh, somebody's calling me, so it's important. It might be the bank, it might be something else than an email. I think that has to do with it as well. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about an older person, a grandson, granddaughter calling. Maybe it
Hmm.
sounds like them, maybe it's a little off,
Yeah.
but that is, easily explained away by cyber criminals. Oh, the
Hmm.
connection is bad. Oh, I hurt my tooth, so I've got like a muffle in it. I mean, there's a million different
Yeah.
reasons that they can share to really try to trick you into believing them. But it's also not all dire. Like AI is also like incredible technology that I mean, has been around for a long time in some forms, but with the kind of release of generative AI, like the tool that we kind of all use in our day to day, just not even 3 years ago, it's completely
Yeah.
changed as well, right? Like we think about using AI to demystify cybersecurity, right? Like how
Hmm.
can we help people ask questions, get responses, not feel that shame. Obviously, we use it in our products, some of that AI versus AI. That's how we're really good at detecting evasive malware. Right, exactly. So it's like we want to use AI in smart, thoughtful ways, but we also want to keep humans in the loop because we also know that AI can hallucinate, that AI can be
Yeah.
used for bad. And then obviously the kind of deep fake layer is like a whole other ballgame, helping people understand what is accurate, what is real.
Yeah, exactly. I think you were talking about double-edged sword. That is indeed it. And like I envision like this battle between two massive robots, the good one and the bad one, always in my
No,
head when I think about it.
no.
Visual person.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and like for instance, at Malwarebytes, we recently released um Scam Guard, which is indeed what it has. It combines the good force of AI, but also is backed up with our own databases, our own knowledge, our own information. Um, and like we've received such great responses from that because there's no threshold, right? Like if you're not sure, but you also don't want to talk to anyone, if you do get a sextortion email, for instance, you don't necessarily want to talk to anyone about it because it can't, that cloud of shame around it. You just take a screenshot and then pop it into our scam guard. And I think it removes so much of the threshold. And I think that is something that is so helpful. And with small, I say small things like that, we can remove that stigma as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's always on, right? It's in our
yeah,
mobile security app. You can access it for free. I think honestly, one of the biggest benefits is it may also cause you to pause and just assess the
yeah,
situation, right? So even if you're on the phone with someone, you can actually open it, type in the situation, what's happening, and it will
yeah,
give you real-time feedback, which I think is really valuable because I feel like the biggest piece of advice I can give to people is honestly just to slow down. I know much easier said than done, but don't let the
yeah.
urgency or pressure push you into action. Take a breath, check with Scam Guard, phone a friend, take that moment. And I think that will help you stay safe from honestly most scams.
Absolutely. And while we're talking about that, because this is great advice, like how do you spot something like that? And more important, how do you protect yourself against it? Like, from the start, preventative, but also maybe if you received one or if you're a victim of that,
Yeah.
what can be used? What are the resources as well?
I mean, there are a number of things in scams that we've probably
Hmm.
heard for years, right? Things like maybe spelling or grammar is just a little
Hmm.
off. The sender, who is it being sent from, is maybe hidden, or it's not quite the right address. If you hover over links, maybe they go to not what the
Hmm.
link says it should go to. It goes to something else. There's that sense of urgency, this act now, you must do this. Honestly, most companies, government, friends, family, that's not how they talk. They're not going to ask you to do those sorts of things. They
Hmm.
maybe won't even contact you via those channels, right? The text
Hmm.
or email for that type of information. So there's like a number of red flags. But like I also want to say cyber criminals are becoming so savvy and so
Yeah.
good. I mean, with the advent of like generative AI tools, they can create extremely realistic looking scams. They can spoof websites that have, stolen the images, the logo, the language. The
Hmm.
only things that might be off are some links, things like that. So again, they're so good nowadays. Like you have to be on alert. That's why,
Yeah.
I think it's important to also leverage some of the tools that are available to you. An antivirus. We have Browser Guard, which is an ad blocker, but it also blocks malicious URLs, phishing, scams, things
Hmm.
like that. So take advantage of some of these tools. And then just you kind of have to always be on alert if anyone's reaching out,
Yeah.
text, phone, email, social media, especially platforms like social media where DMs are not really like software isn't integrated into them. Like your email will probably block some things.
Hmm.
Your social media inbox, probably not. You're
Yeah.
not going to catch
Hmm.
that, right? And I think scammers and criminals know that.
Exactly. And this is the thing, like when you were talking about, you don't see that in your inbox. And one of the things that and I think one of our colleagues is always like talking about this as well. You see a lot of like scams, and you get like the text message that's saying like, "Hi, mom, I've got a new phone number," and those might be very small ones. And my little one is a toddler, so I don't think she's gonna send me a message like that. But one of the things that we do hammer on is especially when these scams are getting more and more sophisticated, to have, especially when it comes to friends or family, to have kind of like a safe word. So
Yes.
if you're not sure of, is this my mom? Is this really my child? Have a safe word. Like could be anything, but that you only know, you and that person only know. That's a small thing. Um, And you were mentioning a few resources as well before this, like
Yeah.
for different parts of the world. Could you share those with us? And I will share that in the comments in
Oh,
discussion of
sure.
this as
Okay.
well.
I mean, here in the US, we have the Internet Crime Complaint Center, so IC3. It's a free resource portal. There's,
Hmm.
information for you, ways to help. You can report crimes and get help there. Europol also has resources for each EU country on their
Hmm.
website. Again, it's like the report a crime. There's different resources on scripts that criminals use, things that you can do, your rights, how to report the crime. We mentioned ScamGuard. It's a great place, our AI-powered scam
Hmm.
detector, to pause, assess, get some feedback in real time. I think the cool thing there too is every report that you make makes our product better. So you can potentially help
Hmm.
protect someone from the same type of scam. And, honestly, just talk to someone. That's one of my
Hmm.
things too is like share what's happening with a trusted friend, a family member. They can take a set of fresh eyes to the situation
Yeah.
and ask questions, see if there's holes in this story because there likely is, and you're being, pushed and manipulated in a way to act now and urgently.
And yeah, and that's it. And like we know that this is happening, and the majority of us knows that this is happening. So just talk about it. And I know that sounds really easy to say, but talk about it. If you if you become a victim yourself, you can always use your knowledge and use your case to protect others from doing so. And there's no shame in what is going on. Like I keep hammering, sorry, Troy Hunt, but
Oh yeah.
the major malware hunter in the world, Troy Hunt, got scammed himself, fell for a phishing link. He didn't get scammed, but he fell for a phishing link. So it can happen to anyone. Anyone can be victim of this. And I think that's really good to hammer on as well. Um,
Yeah,
what
Troy did
is,
a phenomenal job of like sharing,
yeah,
super transparent about what happened. And I think it set a really good example because it's true. If,
yeah.
again, scams have become so sophisticated, so targeted, and if
Hmm.
he can fall for one, literally anyone can.
Literally anyone. And I think that is indeed something that we kind of want to end up with. What is your biggest takeaway from this report, and what is your biggest sentence of wisdom that you want to give everyone that is watching now or watching later?
Yeah. I honestly, this quote from one of the survey participants like really hit home for me. They said, I didn't lose anything. I was just scared because they wanted to inform all my friends, family, employers how perverted I was because I was supposedly watching porn. And I think that's
Hmm.
the point of these types of scams, right? They really prey on that emotional. There's
Yeah.
blackmail, there's harassment, there's damage to the reputation, there's consequences at work or school.
Hmm.
And so, like, truly, I know we've mentioned it many times, but there is no shame. Like, let's remove the stigma of shame around this type of scams, other types of scams, especially
Hmm.
in the era of AI. Again, it's so easy for people to spin up deep fakes. And there's some recent legislation here in the US against deep fake porn type images.
Hmm.
But that's like from this year. So,
Yeah.
it's a new field and we're just kind of all navigating how to help protect people from it. So, no shame, reach out, use the tools and resources, talk to your friends and family. Heck, call it Malwarebytes. Like, we're here to help. Like, we want to be that community resource.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Well, with that, I think I'd like to finish this great chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your words of wisdom, your knowledge, and your stories. One of the things that I want everyone to go to blog.malwarebytes.com and read the report. It's very interesting, little bit scary, but we end with like, what to do when you get scammed and how to prevent scams, what to do when you get one of these emails or text messages. And as always, ScamGuard, check it out.
Yeah.
It's free, it's mobile, so check it out. If you are in doubt, um, pop it in there. If you still don't get a clear answer, send it to us. We see these things every single day. Our support team sees these things every single day. and they have all the knowledge that you need to be able to handle what is coming at you.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? We all have about a million stories, friends, families, parents, parents-in-law that, they've either fallen victim, they've received something and then at
Mhm.
least reached out. So let's continue that. Let's build a community and help each other spot the scam, stop it, stop cyber criminals.
Exactly. I think about it as like, how ants have a shared consciousness. I know this is going very far, but like we all have a little bit of knowledge. And if we all share that somewhere, then and people have access to it, it'll make the world a better place. And
Love
with
that.
that, with those ants, I want to finish.
I love
I
that.
want to finish up. Thank you so much, Ashley, for being here with us today. And yeah, so check out the extortion report on blog.malwarebytes.com. I will be back, I think, in about 2 weeks. If you have any questions for me or for Ashley or for somebody else in Malwarebytes, drop them into the comments and we'll get back to you. Thank
Awesome.
you
So much.
so much, everyone, for coming by, and we'll see you next one. Have a good one.